history of Bill. Today we're talking about Rasputin, all right? No more Romans, no more Canea, no more Hannibal at the gates. It's Rasputin today. A little further forward in the future. Comment down below any history shit you'd like me to talk about, my friends. Rasputin, in my mind, is one of the most enigmatic figures in the history of all things, very specifically Russian history. Rasputin was born on January 21st, 1869 in the remote village of wherever the this is in Siberia. Pokrovskoye Koiv. Grigory Rasputin was raised in a modest peasant family. His parents, Yefim and Anna Rasputin, were simple farmers who lived a typical rural Siberian life. The extremely harsh climate, the austere conditions of the region shaped Rasputin's early years, which were largely unremarkable and characterized by limited educational opportunities, and that caused him to be functionally illiterate, and that remained well into adulthood. At the age of 19, Rasputin married Praskovia Fyodorovna Dubrovina, a fellow villager. Together, they had 7 children, but only 3 survived to adulthood. Classic 1800s stuff there, to be honest. I think rural Russia especially had high infant mortality rates back in those times. But despite Rasputin's responsibilities as a husband and father, he was a restless man, and he was drawn to the wayward realm of traveling for spiritual reasons. He was heavily drawn to spiritual pursuits. He was still married for a very long time, I think. I'm not exactly sure. Didn't research that part. He sought religious fulfillment and a deeper connection with the divine, and this led to Rasputin's religious awakening. In his late 20s, sources tend to vary in regard to his exact age. Rasputin experienced a profound religious conversion that dramatically altered the course of his life. He became dissatisfied with the spiritual offerings of his small village, and possibly influenced by the mystical traditions prevalent in Siberia at the time, he became increasingly drawn to asceticism and mysticism. Oh crap. The dark side. This inner transformation of Rasputin compelled him to leave and embark on extensive pilgrimages to some. Among his destinations were the monastery of St. Nicholas. I think that's where Santa Claus lives. Also Mount Athos in Greece, which is a renowned center for the Eastern Orthodox monasticism, or whatever the f it's called, monasticism. He's a monk. He's a crazy monk guy. He even visited the Holy Land of Jerusalem. These journeys were acts of personal devotion and opportunities for Rasputin to immerse himself in diverse religious practices and philosophies. Through his travels and due to the accumulation of his spiritual experiences, he began to cultivate a reputation as a starets, which is a weird, strange-looking word, but it's a term in Russian Orthodoxy denoting a spiritual elder or advisor, a holy man, basically. Unlike traditional startsi, who were elders that were affiliated with established monastic institutions, Rasputin was largely self-proclaimed and operated on the fringes of formal religious structures. This guy was an entrepreneur. He claimed of possessing healing powers and prophetic abilities. These claims attracted many an eye and ear. A lot of attention back in the 1800s. You just had to lie to people and then you'd get a lot of people following you around. There are a ton of stories of his seeming ability to alleviate physical ailments and provide spiritual counsel spread among both peasants and members of the clergy. That's where the origins of these stories come from. This burgeoning notoriety laid the groundwork for his eventual introduction to the highest circles of Russian society, from 0 to 100. He's kind of like the Kanye West of 19th century Russia. All right. In 1903, Rasputin arrived in St. Petersburg, the heart of the Russian Empire's political and cultural life and influence and sphere. His timing was fortuitous, some would say. The aristocracy and high-ranking clergy were experiencing a resurgence of interest in spiritualism, mysticism, the exact thing that Rasputin kinda was a baller at. His insight quickly attracted the attention of influential figures within the Russian Orthodox Church as well. He was introduced to prominent clergy members such as Archimandrite Theophan, the inspector of the Religious Academy of St. Petersburg, and Bishop Hermogen Saratov. Very famous people we all know. These introductions provided Rasputin with the access to the areas and gatherings where the Russian elite sought novel spiritual experiences. And you take this and you combine it with his rustic charm and his enigmatic, charismatic persona. He captivated many of the disillusioned at the time. Disillusioned rich people. Hey, but I tell you what else captivated him. The revolution, all right? The revolution that was soon to come. These people were easy to captivate. By 1905, Rasputin's growing notoriety led to his introduction to the imperial family. He met the emperor, Emperor Nicholas II, and Empress Alexandra Feodorovna. And these people just so happened to be deeply concerned about the health of their only son and heir, Alexei Nikolaevich, who suffered from hemophilia. Rasputin, he's got an app for that, or whatever the fuck people say. He can heal people, literally, so, you know. Rasputin's abilities left quite an impression on the Empress, who was desperate for any remedy that could alleviate the suffering of her son. His initial interactions with the royal couple left them completely captivated. Nicholas and Alexandra perceived him as a man of God sent to protect their family. Of course they did. They're the main characters. They're the emperor and empress of Russia at the time. And so you can probably guess what happened next. He wasn't killed at this point. So he healed the boy. He healed the heir, all right? Hemophilia is a hereditary blood disorder that prevents the body's ability to clot blood, which caused the young heir to be in immense pain and have frequent life-threatening episodes of internal bleeding. On top of this, the imperial family was very secretive about the health of the heir, obviously, as any perception of weakness could undermine the stability of the Romanov dynasty. Wasn't that difficult to undermine it, to be honest, but still, you know, that could have been worse. Thank God Rasputin was there. The Empress Alexandra, in her desperation, turned to Rasputin when the traditional, conventional fields of medicine failed to help her son with hemophilia. Rasputin was summoned to the royal palace, and his interventions appeared to produce remarkable improvements in Alexei's condition. Now, the exact mechanisms of how he healed the young boy, or if he actually healed the young boy, are subject of great historical debate. Some believe that Rasputin's calming presence and his counsel to avoid certain medical treatments, such as the administration of aspirin, which literally thins your blood even more and would have exacerbated hemophilia, these things played significant roles in the boy's temporary recovery. So his calming presence, and he's like, don't eat aspirin, dumbass. Aspirin's old, thousands of years old, by the way. Well, it's even older than that, but the use in medicine is thousands of years old. Extremely interesting. The Empress was endeared, to say the least, with Rasputin's ability to calm her son. This, by extension, secured Rasputin an influential position within the royal inner circle. All right, guys, this is huge. This is where the relationship with the imperial family gets kind of weird, because it's like, oh, he's helping him, he's awesome, they love him and stuff, but the people, the public, are like, why is this guy getting so... What's happening here? This is like, what's happening here? A lot of distrust scandals come out of this. This was also when it was revealed that Rasputin was living a sort of double life. In spite of presenting himself at court as a humble and devout peasant imbued with deep spirituality and fucking healing fingers, Rasputin's private life was a stark departure from his public persona. He was a fucking horn dog. He was crazy. He was known for excessive drinking and unabashed sexual promiscuity. He was weird as fuck. He fucked and he was weird and he fucked weird and he was a weird fuck. He even conveniently propagated the belief that physical contact with him had purifying effects. That's bold. That's a bold statement. Hey, you know, if you guys need purified, touch my wiener. What'd you say, Rasputin? What the f? He was a very complex character. He did both very well. The freak motherfucker and also the humble monk. But I've read that the very nature of this sort of contradiction underscores Russian society fairly well at the time, especially rich people society at the time. Mysticism, decadence, those things are often intertwined. And then there was public backlash, okay? His private actions and public image started some shit eventually. Rumors swirled about his misconduct, including alleged affairs with women of high social standing and his undue influence over political appointments at the highest levels of government. I think he f***ed the Empress. That's my opinion. That's just where I'm coming from. That's just what I think. All right, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But this also, 1905, was a time when a lot of revolutions started going down in Russia all the way up to 1923. There was a lot of revolutions going on, but there were highly sensationalized stories that came out during the time. This was at the time of Rasputin, not as much censorship, right? There was a bit of a liberation amongst the press. Newspapers, pamphlets depicted Rasputin as a malevolent evil force corrupting the royal court, fueling public disdain and eroding trust in the monarchy. Cartoons, satirical articles portrayed him as a puppet master controlling the empress and by extension, the empire. It was really cool. There's a lot of cool art from the time about Rasputin. He's an ugly bastard, I tell you what. A lot of amplification. This didn't help, all right? These memes did not help. It amplified societal anxieties and contributed to the growing perception of moral decay within the imperial leadership, which, you know, has a bit of an exacerbatory effect, causes tensions to rise, and then there's revolutionary upheaval. Again, many times. Lots of upheaval. Skip forward a little while to World War I. Nicholas II took personal command of the Russian forces during, the war, the Great War, the First War, and that led the Empress in control back at home in Rushka. She lacked a lot of political experience, and she had German heritage. She was viewed suspiciously. She was ill-prepared to navigate the complexities of a wartime administration. Rasputin, though, he was there. His influence over the Empress in this time intensified markedly. He was her closest advisor, conveniently. He offered guidance on a range of political matters, including the appointment and dismissal of high-ranking officials. He was f***ing, bro. Are you kidding me? That's what it was. Some of Rasputin's recommendations weren't that good. They installed some folks who were incompetent or just f***ing corrupt. They were chosen for their loyalty to him rather than their ability to serve the nation, which is really funny and awesome. All this stuff masturbated heavily the gubernatorial inefficiency, the exacerbated governmental inefficiency. I was joking and then I was undoing the joke, trying to be smart. So yeah, not exactly a great guy, and a lot of people started to see him as a threat to Russian stability. Good, I say kill the bastard, why not? But a lot of nobles thought that his influence over the Empress was undermining traditional institutions and leading the empire towards fucking ruin. I think I had a stroke. People started saying, hey, Rasputin's actually a German agent deliberately sabotaging Russia's war efforts to aid the enemy and damaging everything that's happening back at home for the sake of Germany in World War I. That was a pretty damaging accusation. Plus, Alexandra's German origins. Wasn't a lot of information about this. There wasn't that many claims, and they lacked substantive evidence, but they gained traction in a society that was desperate for explanations of the military failures that they were going through, and not to mention the fucking internal chaos and revolutions, a series of revolutions. So, before too long, there was a plot to assassinate Grigory Rasputin. It was orchestrated by prominent figures within the Russian aristocracy who believed that his influence over the imperial family was causing irreparable harm to the nation. Prince Felix, one of the wealthiest men in Russia, kind of a dickhead, to be honest. He really rained on the damn fun parade. He joined forces with Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, a cousin of Nicholas II, and Vladimir Purishkevich, a conservative member of the Duma, which is the Russian parliament. Their objective was clear, and it was to eliminate Rasputin to save the monarchy from further scandal and restore public confidence in the government. They thought that getting rid of Rasputin would weaken Alexandra's detrimental influence over state affairs and allow for competent leadership to take hold during a time of great crisis. It was pretty bad. And then he was murdered, all right? In 1916, the conspirators enacted their plan. According to Yusupov's memoirs, he invited Rasputin to his Moika palace under the pretense of meeting his wife, Princess Irina. There, in a basement room, Rasputin was allegedly served wine and cakes laced with cyanide. Astonishingly, Rasputin appeared completely unaffected by the poison, prompting a panicked Yusupov to shoot him in the chest with a revolver. Believing Rasputin to be dead, the conspirators briefly left the scene. When Yusupov returned to check on the body, Rasputin purportedly sprang up and attacked him like a fucking demon. Just crazy, dude. I hate Rasputin. It's scary. That's the shit of nightmares. The other conspirators then shot Rasputin 2 more times. And then his body was wrapped, and then he was thrown into the icy Neva River. That's overkill. He's dead. Now, that's the dramatic narrative. There are subsequent investigations and autopsy reports, etc., that, might cast a bit of doubt on that. The autopsy conducted by a guy named Professor Dmitry Kosoratov indicated Rasputin died from a gunshot wound to the forehead at close range. There was no evidence of poison in his system. nor water in his lungs to suggest drowning. So it's possible that the sensational details were just lied to enhance things, and there was aftermath. And yeah, it was wild regardless, but. Would you quit that? What the hell are you doing? Frankie's going to rename her Rasputin. Some people thought the assassins were patriots who acted in Russia's best interests, believing that they had removed a malignant tumor known as Rasputin, or a malevolent influence from the heart of the government. Other people mourned Rasputin, particularly peasants, all right? Let's be real. People who didn't know better. Let's be real. Let's be real here. You know, the people who were betrayed by the elite also, there was a big disparity back in the day. So how did this guy get this far? I have no idea. But Nicholas II, when he learned about Rasputin's death, he reportedly lamented, "Now I have no one on whom I can rely." That's sad, honestly. He thought Rasputin was a god of some kind. And then 2 years later, the Russian Revolution of 1917, which got rid of Nicholas II, and it was the fall of the Romanov dynasty. The rise of the Soviet Union. Grigory Rasputin. Legend, myth, what do you guys think? Anyways, thanks for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed, press the like button down below. If you want to see more shit like this, comment, go to the gump.club and go to sour.gg to buy some candy. Touch my wiener.